Hi Indy fans, it's Wednesday the 2nd of June and it's time for the 6th episode of DaviePHD's Twitter Twits. In this feature I examine the social media feeds of our unionist chums and poke some gentle if crucially non-controversial and less sweary fun at them. Returning this week yet again, like a stubborn stain in your lavvy that toilet duck just won't shift, it's George Galloway, announcing he's standing in yet another election. Now for background, Tracy Brabin, the Labour MP for Batley and Spen, has been elected as the Mayor of West Yorkshire, so has resigned as the local Member of Parliament. Tracy succeeded the tragically murdered Joe Cox, and the local Labour Party are running Joe's sister, Kim Ledbetter, as their candidate. Now it would be so poignant if Kim were to win the seat and continue her sister's good work. So while you won't usually see me cheering on a Labour candidate, I will be this time. But none of this is as important as George Galloway promoting his TV show. Because let's face it, that's all him standing will achieve. He says he wants to torpedo Keir Starmer's leadership of the Labour Party, and that's his sole reason for standing. As you can imagine, I was there to wish him well. There is good news though, folks. Batley and Spen is not in Scotland. Now our Scots Tory branch office chums are less than happy that the SNP and the Scottish Greens are talking about formal cooperation. It's fair to say they probably feel a wee bit threatened. Scots Tory branch office list MSP Rachel Hamilton was none too pleased and tweeted her indignation. Of course, Scots Tory branch office list MSP Rachel Hamilton has a very short memory. This attack line continues with Scots Tory branch office list MSP Liam Kerr. Now he's a re-entry from last week when he was out measuring potholes that his own Scots Tory branch office council colleagues were supposed to get fixed. Now Liam has upped his game a wee bit, from potholes to the future of oil and gas. But it's never a great idea for the Scots Tory branch office to mention how valuable oil is to us Indy campaigners. When we highlight this back at them, it's a bit like us kicking a puppy. It doesn't stop SNP Peterhead doing it though. And this isn't just upsetting the Tories. Paul Sinclair, whose Twitter bio describes him as a hack of many varieties, and who, despite being a Labour member, has spent the last few months working as a strategist for the Tories, has decided to have a wee pop at Green co-leader Lorna Slater. Now this tweet was absolutely pointless. Lorna was elected by Scots. Lorna was chosen by Scots. Lorna lives here now. Lorna is a new Scot, living in the wreckage of the post-Thatcher United Kingdom. So SNP Peterhead took great delight in telling Paul Sinclair. Now, Sir John Redwood has had a long and distinguished parliamentary career. You can tell by the Sir. So why is it that someone with 28 years as an MP, shadow cabinet roles on his CV, can't see the potential harm of the UK-Australia trade deal when all of us see it as plain as the noses on our faces? Cue SNP Peterhead again to set him straight. Now you could almost be forgiven for thinking that the person tweeting for SNP Peterhead and tweeting for DaviePHD's Indy vlog are one and the same. And I suppose I have to finish with this. It's often said that proper journalism is dead and the blogosphere is where it really happens these days. Now despite being a blogger myself, I still value the professionals, as long as they remain objective. I used to think that Alistair Stewart was one of those professionals. That is until he signed for the soon-to-be-launched GB News. Alistair used to front ITN News and other shows in the past. He's a professional journalist. But it seems, going by this tweet, that he wants to hand the reins over to the bloke in the bus, or even worse, the bloke in the pub. Now, as I pointed out to him, that may not be the best idea. Most of the chat I have heard on buses or in pubs is absolute rubbish. So I'd rather stick to informed analysis, please, Alistair team at GB News. If I want to watch drunken, uninformed debate, I'll just cut out the middleman and go to the pub. Thanks all the same. Log in next week for the next edition of DaviePHD's Twitter Twits. DaviePHD.